Let's talk a little bit about this Oilers team. We saw them come out, play their, I think, worst game, or one of their worst games of the season against Montreal on Monday. But then they played that next Tuesday in Ottawa, like the next day, and they go and they, for lack of a better phrase, they kind of beat the wheels off the Senators. That game was never close. Is it sometimes good, like when you have a bad game like that, is it maybe good to just be right back at it the next night and not be sitting on it?
I think so. I think, yeah, when you have a team like Edmonton, who's, there's a few guys on the team that can really dictate the outcome of a game and beat almost any team just like that. There's probably a certain confidence that, hey, we struggled last night. We're going to go dominate here tonight. And the quicker that you can turn it around sometimes is great. I mean, you could argue that it's good to reset with a weekend, just get back to basics of practice, have rest, all that stuff. But yeah, you're right. I think sometimes when you really are hungry to rebound from a bad night, flipping it over and getting out there as quickly as possible is nice. So I also think it was an example of a group of guys knowing that they're better than that. There was no accumulation of poor play. The next day, it was a great example of just knowing that you were going to win.
Is that maybe, just to follow up on that, is that maybe a byproduct of like this group has been together now for a while? It largely is the same core that's been running it back year after year. Like when they have a bad game like that, I feel like it's maybe not so much frustrating, and maybe it is like easier for them to turn the page a little bit because it's like they can all look at each other and there's a decent level of accountability, versus like if this was a group of young guys and rookies, or if this was a team like Nashville right now who's got a bunch of fresh faces and they can't seem to get anything going. Like, does the continuity in the roster and the core of this team help them maybe move on a bit quicker?
I would say the experience for sure. And then it almost seems, and I'm saying this in the best way possible, it seems like there's some cockiness there too. So they almost know, like, hey, we're that good, we're going to turn it back on. And I think that's a great thing to have. If you have a cocky group, that's a good quality. And I think it's kind of what it looked like. It was like we shit the bed in Montreal, and then they just dominated and turned it on the next day. And I think when you have a season like they had last year where they went the distance, I don't want to say that you can turn it off, but at this point in the season, there might be nights where you're that good where you can lay an egg and you're confident enough or cocky enough that you can just roll it back over. And I know they haven't exactly dominated this season, but I think that feeling is within them, and that's a very important feeling to have.
Vasily Podkolzin is someone who has somehow not scored a goal this season and not been thrown to the fourth line. He's been stuck next to Leon Draisaitl. In the last game, we saw him go and play with McDavid and Draisaitl. What do you have, 2 assists?
2 assists, yeah.
What does he need to do? And I guess what is an ideal line mate to play with McDavid and Draisaitl?
I don't know a whole lot about Podkolzin. I think he has looked good. I think he works hard. He looks like a big body that gets around, and he looks like he's working hard. And I like that. He's got a lot of effort out there. I think for a line mate for Connor and Leon, are you talking together or
together?
Okay. So the additional line mate for those two, my opinion, would be somebody that goes to the net. Connor and Leon have the puck so much, and they're doing so much that you need a net front presence. A guy that gets on the forecheck and hounds pucks and does everything to get it to them. So once you get it to them, go to the net and let them do their thing. And also have probably a defensive awareness a bit. So maybe in certain situations, understanding like I'm going to be the defensive mindset here, because Connor and Leon might be doing so much stuff in the ozone that you have to have that mindset that I got to be the one that maybe thinks defense a little bit more. But that's contradicting a bit because he's got to sit in front of the net too. So it's tough to be the net front guy and then also think I got to get back. But having that mindset is important. And then also just knowing these guys are going to do their thing. What I think is maybe the most important part would be, and it's difficult, but you have to be confident in your own self, because if all you're thinking of is what are these guys doing? I gotta get these guys the puck, and you're like, oh my God, I'm playing with Connor and Leon. I don't think that's a good recipe. You got to be confident in yourself. When you have the puck, have a plan, but you also have to focus on, hey, I'm a good player. I'm gonna make my plays too, but ideally, go to the net, get the guys the puck. But you have to have your own certain confidence as well.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.